Hello, my name is Casey Byers, a current undergraduate of the University of Denver majoring in marketing, and this is my first day at the University of Denver's trip to South by Southwest 2023. Welcome back to day one. We're going to be talking about the psilocybins with Paul Stamets and how it can save the world. We'll get back with you later as to how that goes. Hello, past me, this is future me, and whoever decides to watch this, I am sorry. This will be an event. So to get straight into the point, the first one that I went to was about psychedelic mushrooms, which is nothing I've ever done before, but I've heard a lot about, so I was intrigued with it, and it was really cool. The key speaker was Paul Stamets, who is a microologist, which was essentially meaning that he knows the biology behind psychedelic plants and its chemical makeup, which was really cool. And he focused mainly on the history of psychedelic mushrooms and how it was taboo in the past, because since when is anything not? And then bringing up interesting aspects in the past, essentially, like apparently there was such thing as psychedelic mead because people used to preserve mushrooms in honey, and honey is the main component of it. And if you don't know the chemical makeup behind mushrooms, it's a guess. So you get high off of mead. Can we start that? But he then moved into the current context, which is using mushrooms in therapy and end-of-life moments so that people can have a better quality of life and just not feel sucky, which is really good. I can definitely get behind that, even though it's not something I probably personally partake in. But being able to see a change in the medical space towards that isn't really surprising to me, considering that we started doing that with marijuana. So once we get a hang of marijuana, it wouldn't surprise me if psychedelic mushrooms will be soon down the legislative end. So this is where my daily mistake happened. The event started at 1, and 90% of it was booze related and cocktail related. And as a lightweight, that does not go well. I had 4 drinks there and was severely tipsy. That was a fun time. But it was interesting to see who all was there. There was Johnny Walker, which I didn't hear about before, but they had an interesting cocktail questionnaire that you tap to see which all you should get. They had White Claw, not surprising since it's their sponsor, and they're apparently making vodka sodas now, so if you like hard cherry, it's not bad. I can't say for the other ones, because I didn't want to die. And then they had Meaty, which was a mushroom root meat alternative, which, not a fan of mushrooms, but it had that crunch and it wasn't chewy, and it wasn't bad at all. And ironically, they're a small business from Boulder, Colorado that just got released into Sprouts. So, yay for small businesses making it to South by Southwest. Hell yeah. And then the last company that I really noticed there was called Uncle Nearest, which is a bourbon and whiskey distillery, which apparently, if they're being honest, is the first women-owned, Black ran or maintained, and apparently the people that made the recipe were the people that taught Jack Daniels how to make booze. And it's probably been the smoothest whiskey that I've ever tasted. Definitely suggested. 10 out of 10. On to the next one. So we're in the Austin Convention Center, about to go into an event sponsored by Johnson & Johnson, talking about using automation and virtual reality as a form of anesthesia in future procedures. We'll see how this goes. More later. Hello again, I am back, and this one is about digital sedation, the new alternative to anesthesia, which is not necessarily what it was about, but kinda. It was not the best title for it. It was essentially saying, how do we use VR to help patients and not use as much anesthesia as we do now? Where I thought when reading the title that it was like, we're not gonna have anesthesia at all, which would not be fun. But after being in it, context makes sense, title's still a little bit off, but I digress. So, main thing was talking about like the history of anesthesia, curing, like removing bacteria, a lot of surgical history, which was really intriguing, especially when they said that like hot irons and hot stones were the first things to really get rid of germs instead of like getting gangrene and dying and amputating. But it was really interesting to hear about anesthesia because I know that we don't know a lot behind the science of it. It's just a guess. So seeing how much even doctors and those that would be taking care of it are still hesitant to do it, especially after the opioid crisis, because we don't want to get addicted to things any more than we need to, because bad. It was interesting to see that even they don't want to do it that much, and they're taking into account how the patients feel on it and are trying to find alternatives. And so far they've gotten pretty far. Like, there's supposed to be like talks of legislation or rules for it, even from what one of the panelists said. Oh, and speaking of, little side piece, Mark Zuckerberg's dad was there, and he's a dentist. And he learned about it because Mark Zuckerberg came in after he obtained Oculus with one of those things and tried to use it for a procedure. And it didn't work, but they wanted to see where it would go. So yeah, it's been going on for a little while. Why is no one talking about this? Anyways, on to the next one. Lastly, we had Dolby, which was a interactive event that was about a audio service. I honestly stumbled upon it because it was colorful, bright, and apparently if I had any evolutionary things about preserving my life, I didn't have it because it was all bright colors. But either way, it was fun. It was a really nice setup to show what all they could do. They're in like headphones, surround sound, TV, and they're even doing a thing with Mercedes with their car audio, even though I've never heard of this company. Like, we were able to sit in a freaking Mercedes blaring Taylor Swift in the middle of Austin. I don't think I'll ever get closer to a Mercedes than that ever again, which is fine. I'll just cry inside, but it'll be fine. But they had a really great interactive design. It flowed well. It showed everything that they could do, and it didn't interfere with the other ones, which was, considering the space, probably pretty difficult to do. But that has been essentially all of my day. It is 11:12 now, and I'm dying inside. We'll see how I go for day 2. Bye.